I have radically changed the way I perform the LBRP, the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, and so let me court controversy a little more today with this video to explain how I've changed my practice and why. This is the result of two videos that I made, or rather conversations that I had in the comments section of two videos. One several months ago about the four Kabbalistic worlds. One of the viewers with the username Forever Seeking Wisdom suggested that I might be mistaken in the order that I was presenting. I presented the order as Earth, Air, Water, Fire, with Air as Yetzirah and Water as Bria. Forever Seeking Wisdom suggested that this was a blind, in other words, an intentional mistake introduced by the Golden Dawn, and that this was rather the correct order: Earth, Water, Air, Fire, with Water for Yetzirah and Air for Bria. Now, after a certain amount of research, I found out that this is, in fact, accurate. Earth, Air, Water, Fire is indeed the order attributed by the Golden Dawn. However, Freemasons' Freemasonry.com gives Earth, Water, Air, Fire, not Earth, Air, Water, Fire. And so I started asking questions online on Kabbalah-related forums. And sure enough, the majority told me that what they knew was that it was Earth, Water, Air, Fire. So that got me thinking. The second video was a video that I made just about a month ago regarding pentagrams, the LBRP, and I said that there was going to be a controversial question in which I talked about the direction in which we described the pentagram in the air when performing the LBRP. A long-standing viewer of mine, Mr. Gunwich, to whom I'm very grateful, pointed me to this, Archangels of Magick, which is one of the Gallery of Magick's best-selling books on invoking angels. In Archangels of Magick, the author Damon suggests a different order for the angels of the LBRP. He suggests that while this is indeed the most well-recognized order for placing the angels, he has been experimenting with this alternate order in which Michael and Raphael have been swapped. We're used to having Raphael to the east and Michael to the south, but he suggests having Raphael to the south. I already had the book, so I checked it out, and I found out from what the author was writing that there is indeed evidence of early Jewish prayers that have this particular order. And so just about a week ago, when I was reading this, The Greater and Lesser Worlds of Robert Fludd, I'll be posting my review of that this week, I came across this picture of Earth, Water, Air, Fire. Earth, Water, Air, Fire. This historical version rather than the new Golden Dawn version. So then I started thinking, is there really anything that is preventing this alternate order of the archangels? And I thought, well, yes, there is. There's this, the Zodiac. The Golden Dawn ascribe an element to each of the signs. We can start in December with Earth for Capricorn, Air for Aquarius, Water for Pisces, and Fire for Aries. Earth, Air, Water, Fire. Earth, Air, Water, Fire. But then I started thinking to myself, I've never agreed with Aquarius being air. Similarly, I've never agreed with Scorpio being water. Scorpio, which, by the way, the Golden Dawn represent as an eagle. How is an eagle water? And then I started looking at the other signs. Let's have a look. We've got Pisces, definitely water. Aquarius certainly seems like water to me. And then we've got Capricorn. Now we can't see it here, but traditionally the Capricorn is a goat with a fish's tail. Could it be that in fact all these three are water symbols? These would be air symbols. Sagittarius actually shoots an arrow, which seems pretty air-like to me. And then over here we would have the fire symbols. And over here we would have the earth symbols. Aries, the ram, is no more fire-like than the bull. In fact, I would suggest that the bull is more fiery intuitively than the ram. And so I started thinking, well, is it possible that these are in fact earth signs, these are water signs, these are air signs, and these are fire signs, which would in fact agree with this: earth, water, air, fire. But there was one more thing that was still bothering me, and that was the idea of having Uriel in the north and Raphael in the south. In other words, earth in the north and air in the south. So I continued my research, and if you do a quick search on Wikipedia for the classical element of earth, you'll find out that it is attributed in fact to the southernmost cardinal direction, and air is attributed to the north. Fire, interestingly, is in fact attributed to the east, and water to the west. This is now the direction in which I perform my lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram and lesser invoking rituals of the pentagram. And you'll notice that swapping air and earth changed nothing to the order of the elements. We still have earth, water, air, fire. There were two more clues that made me steadfast in my belief that this is in fact the correct order and not this. And that is, first of all, the pentagram itself. If you follow the pentagram in the way it's drawn, it goes earth, water, air, fire before going to spirit. Earth, water, air, fire. And then the last clue was this, is the very first thing in the neophytes' grade papers from the Golden Dawn, is that fire is heat and dryness, air is heat and moisture, earth is cold and dryness, water is cold and moisture. If we have a look at this diagram, we find that each corner is a temperature and a degree of humidity. Air is wet and hot. Fire is dry and hot. Earth is dry and cold. Water is wet and cold. In order to have this as a cycle, adjacent elements have to have something in common. In other words, earth has cold in common with water. Water has wet in common with air. Air has hot in common with fire, and fire has dry in common with earth. And once again, we have earth, water, air, fire. Earth, water, air, fire. So how do I perform my rituals of the pentagram now? Well, depending on whether I'm invoking or banishing, generally invoking in the morning and banishing in the evening, I start at earth if I want to invoke, and I start at fire if I want to banish. So to invoke, I will face the south. Feels very strange at first, but the results have been incredible. Facing the south, I describe in the air a clockwise pentagram of earth. Clockwise because that is Deosil, that is the correct direction for invoking. I then vibrate the name of God associated with Uriel, which is Agala. I then move to the west and perform an invoking pentagram of water, starting in the top right corner, going clockwise down to earth, up to spirit, down to fire, and up to air, and back to water. And then I call the name of God associated with water, Gabriel, which is Eheye. Then I turn towards the north and perform an invoking pentagram of air, starting at the top left-hand corner, going clockwise until I'm back to air, and then invoking the name of God associated with Raphael and air, which is Yod-He Vav-He, and then moving to the east and performing an invoking pentagram of fire, starting at fire and moving clockwise, finishing at fire. I then move towards the south once again to finish my invoking circle. All the other aspects of the LBRP are identical, except that now I'm calling Uriel before me and Raphael behind me, Michael to my left and Gabriel to my right. To banish, I start towards Mikael and I perform an anti-clockwise Widershins pentagram of fire, and the same thing all the way around, finishing at fire. So I'm banishing all of this and sending it back to fire. So for a general invoking ritual, I start at earth, water, air, fire, and I bring all of that with me back to earth. For banishing, I start at fire, and I go all the way round the elements, and I send them back to fire. The amount of energy that this has produced for me has been quite difficult to manage, in fact. I knew that there would be a big difference, but I hadn't realized how big the difference would be. So, thank you ever so much for watching, as always. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it wasn't too heretical for you. Please don't forget to leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe also if you haven't already, and I'll see you very soon with another video. Thanks ever so much for bearing with me, and see you soon.